Welcome everybody, welcome everybody to our AICHO Tribal Enterprise Value Added Products and Indian Country presentation with Spring Alaska Shriner. Buju Indinaway Maganadog. Hello, all my relatives. My name is Ivy Vineo. I'm a direct descendant of a Grand Portage band of Ojibwe tribal citizen and a Bahamian immigrant. And I work at the American Indian Community Housing Organization, many roles, but one of the roles is with our Indigenous food sovereignty initiatives. And so a little bit more about AICHO is, AICHO is an Indigenous people first led nonprofit organization in Onigaminsing, Duluth, where we provide housing, a domestic violence shelter, cultural arts center, Indigenous centered retail space, and more. All of our work is anchored in our mission to honor the resiliency of Indigenous people by strengthening communities and centering Indigenous values into all of our work. Our philosophy is that every American Indian person deserves to live a nonviolent and non-threatening environment and has the right to be treated with dignity and respect. One of AICHO's main priorities and focuses is on Indigenous food sovereignty. We provide advocacy, opportunities, programming, access to healthy and ancestral Indigenous foods that build and strengthen our connections between land, community, and local, regional, and national Indigenous and BIPOC entrepreneurs, youth included, food producers, and artists. We work to create a thriving and equitable Indigenous economy and representation with food sovereignty movement. We want to thank our funders for this session, and that is Northwest Area Foundation and Duluth LISC. For supporting today's session and supporting Indigenous food entrepreneurs and the food movement. And then there's we usually try to do a blessing and start our meetings in a good way. And so I did a prayer this morning with some sema that I grew in my gitagan, my garden, this last fall. I use that tobacco as with my offering, and I ask the spirits to be with us in a good way today, that we can be respectful of each other and learn together, and ask for protection for all the attendees and all the presenters today, especially Spring. And so I really want to thank the spirits for this good day. And I just want to say that, you know, every time I do make an offering, I do pray for the water, and I am thankful for the water, for Nibi. And so I want to just close my blessing out with a quote from the late Anishinaabe water walker, Josephine Mondamin Abun. And this is her quote: "Water has to live, it can hear, it can sense what we're saying, it can really, really speak to us. Some songs come to us through the water. We have to understand that water is very precious. That's our responsibility, our role, and our duty to pass on the knowledge and understanding of water to all people, not just Anishinaabe people, but people of all colors." And with that, I'd like to pass this over to Danny, our moderator for today's session. And we're gonna, if you would all just stay muted and for the session until the end when we have time for questions. If you do have questions throughout the session, you can put that in the chat, but we're gonna wait till the end to do our questions. So we'll have about 10-15 minutes for questions. So I'm going to pass it over to Danny. Miigwech, Danny.
Awesome. Chi Miigwech, Ivy, for the beautiful welcoming and for doing the prayer work for all of us here today. Miigwech to Ivy and AICHO for inviting me to help moderate. It's always so good to be here with everyone. So Buju, Dani Paradas, Indigenous Kaz, Makwan and Odem, Onamani Zagigan and Dujaba. I'm Dani Paradas. I'm from the Lake Vermilion Reservation at Boys Ford, and I am Bear Clan. And the presentation today, Spring has built it really towards our questions that came from the survey feedback provided to the planning team. So I think it's really, really special. Tribal enterprise development is a means of liberating our peoples to be who we really are. And so both producers and consumers of our own cycles again. And our culture is so creative and soulful, and our hands had to be really skilled to make all of the things for daily life, and it's who we are. And so Spring models this very well with Sakari Farms. I believe that for those who want it, that small business ownership is like an epic choose your own adventure narrative. And after 10 years into her journey, Spring, during our prep meeting, shared that the reason why she appreciated all of our questions in the survey so much is that there's really no cure-all prescription to offer for business obstacles. And it's more like a sharing of tools that will assist you in building your plan to maneuver around them. And if you'd like one-on-one assistance, I help with native outreach at the Northland Small Business Development Center. And so you can email me or text or call me, and I'll put my contact information in the chat if you'd like to learn. We have professional consultants like Mary Lundeen and Betsy Olavanti and others who help with gathering market data, figuring out financing, creating a business plan, licensing, expanding your business, and much more. And so before we hand the presentation to Spring, we have Cayman and Avery from AICHO's Indigenous First Gift Shop to give a short presentation where you can find a lot of Sakari Farm products. All right, Avery and Cayman.
Bonjour, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Cayman.
I'm Avery.
We're here from the Indigenous First. It's a gift shop located in American Indian Center, AICHO, here in Duluth, Minnesota.
Our mission goal is to highlight and support the Indigenous and diverse artists, authors, and food producers.
So what that means is, next slide, please. We want to highlight all sorts of different Indigenous creators, artists, and food producers. So we work a lot with food producers, we work a lot with clothing designers, we work a lot with artists, authors, people who make jewelry, people who make clothes. And Avery will tell you some of our fine artists.
To the left on the screen is Wise. She's from Native Wise LLC, showing her wild rice. In the center picture there is Delilah Savage, Baby Cakes Wild Rice Bakery, selling their cupcakes in AICHO's lobby last weekend. We have Tashia Hart in the top right here. And then below that is Herb Fine Day with his applique vests.
So these are just a few of the artists that we are really lucky to work with. Next slide. And our goal, since it's to highlight and promote Indigenous food producers and entrepreneurs, if you are such a person and you're looking for a place to highlight your art, please contact us. We are at...
You can call us at 218-590-3305.
So miigwech for listening to us, and Dani, take it away.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. I love Indigenous First that you go over and above in supporting our entrepreneurs and small business owners. Miigwech for all that you do. All right, I think we are ready for you, Spring.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Hello to Sam Anglin in his car. I miss everybody. I'm enjoying seeing everyone's faces today. I'll wait for this PowerPoint to come up, but I'm really honored to be asked by Ivy and AICHO to put on this presentation. I've come a long way, and it's really neat to be honored for the work that I've done because it's working, and be able to share some of the things that work and some of the things that don't work. I'm a big fan of learning from some of those things that hold us back sometimes, because it allows you to thrive a little bit. So today I'm going to talk about tribal enterprise and value-added products in Indian country. The unfortunate part of today is there's too much to go over. We could have a class on each component. They're going to be tribal business planning, tribal commerce, marketing, and labeling and packaging. So I read through some of your questions, and I'm just going to try and tackle as much as I can, but maybe down the road, Ivy can coordinate for me and others to possibly just present specifically on some of these topics, because they're really important and it takes a lot of skill set and time. Everything's about time and being patient to become successful with these. So we'll get started here. Next slide. Hello, everyone. My name is Spring, Alaska. My native name is Upingzrak. It means time when the ice breaks. I currently live here now in Bend, Oregon. We're in kind of the middle of Oregon. We're about an hour south of the Warm Springs Confederate tribe. We're living on Paiute lands. My family is originally from Nome, Alaska, and Little Diomede Island, which separates Russia and Alaska. I'm the daughter of Chief Helmer Joseph Olson of the Valdez Native Tribe. I'm born and raised in Valdez, Alaska, and I am a Chugach Alaska Native Corporation shareholder. And let's go to the next slide. This is kind of a cool one because this is the one before that is my grandmother in the middle, and my dad is up there behind me, or behind my grandmother. And then this is kind of our traditional culture, our way of gathering our foods on a traditional bowhead whale hunt. So just giving you a little background of where I'm from, which is way up in the Arctic. Next slide. So these, a lot of my slides are just going to be some really cool pictures that demonstrate the work that we do. A lot of you, if you've been on social media, have seen some of the work. And basically, Sakari Farms we're about a 5-acre farm. We have recently went from no employees to 4 employees, and they're all native, which is really exciting. They're all Two-Spirit and LGBTQ, which is really an honor to be able to have a safe area and farm for them to learn from. We all work together. We all have a different skill set, so nobody's in charge. I obviously own it, but the whole intent of owning it is more that colonial, you have to have a business license, you have to buy the land, that kind of thing. So I'm just kind of a caretaker of this land and utilizing food sovereignty to kind of move forward with some of the things we're doing here. I also own and manage the Pacific Northwest Tribal Seed Bank. We don't have a seed bank out here that kind of focuses just on the Pacific Northwest. We're not known for our farming out here. We're more of a traditional hunter-gatherer society all the way up to Alaska. There is a little bit of farming that occurs in this area, but we do not have the Three Sisters gardens such as you do in the Midwest there. So we're trying to grow a lot of different varieties of traditional seed for everybody. We have an on-farm tribal grocery store, which is really cool. It's the first tribal grocery store in the county. So it's kind of fun for tribal people to show up here and know that they have a safe place to buy their traditional foods. We also provide tribal long table events. So that would be the equivalent to a farm to table. But we have tribal chefs that come in. Sam Anglin was going to come in maybe 2 years ago and help us with a ceremony that I was going to have, but we hire and procure native foods, we grow them, and then bring our tribal chefs in to have native only long table events. So it's really special to arrive and be around your native people and serve that food that you grew all year. We are in the process right now. We took out an Akeepton CDFI tribal loan to build a commercial kitchen building off the side of our tribal grocery store. And this is going to help us increase our production. We don't have to drive 20 miles to go make our food products. We can host tribal food cooking classes, and then it also encourages other tribal members to start their own entrepreneurship in the kitchen. I'll show you in a few slides down here that Riley, who's our Dene Navajo tribal chef, we had a long table event this year, and she made corn, like hummus with the smoked corn. And it was so good. And that could just be something she puts in a container and sells. So it's all about providing these opportunities for everyone to be more creative and successful too. And then we also provide on-farm technical assistance and training. So just such as what we're doing today. So if anyone ever needs help, just let us know. And some of the photos here, this was our, up in your left-hand corner is our menu that was created. So it's all tribal foods. Most of it we grow. It's just really neat to have, just grow the food and be able to provide it for everyone. Down in the other corner is a tribal food box. So we provide these for free to a Warm Springs tribe that's north of us. And you can do this on your farm or wherever you're growing too, is you can put your own value products in there, value added products, your own vegetables that are tribal foods too from that ancestral seed, some marketing materials, and we also put sweetgrass and cedar bundles in there. We grow sweetgrass here. So it's part ceremony, it's part food, and it's free. So it's kind of exciting. And then this last slide here is our new labeling. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Next slide. So something to think about when you're planning your business is, what is my business going to be? So I just provided some examples of some other tribal producers that are already doing very well. And a lot of us are familiar with these, especially Red Lake Nations probably. But you can do anything. Kind of think about what isn't being done, what the demand is for things, what you like to eat. You can think about making those tribal food boxes. There's a really big demand right now for people to buy tribal food boxes too. So you could start an online store and procure all these different tribal foods and products, including the one that you might make in these boxes and sell them. You can also create a value-added product that's shelf stable, such as the ones you see on the screen. If you're in an area where there's fish, you can do canned fish. There's healings, creams, and oils. A lot of us can gather medicines or grow them, and you can make products with that. Of course, there's jewelry, birch bark earrings, dyed quills. And then you've got, of course, the baking component, which is really fun too, using that traditional maple syrup in any kind of product. And just think about what you like to eat, what everybody else enjoys. And it's kind of a way to bring our traditional foods back together. And then you can work on kind of the next slide that we'll talk about is kind of where do you start? Unfortunately, I started backwards, which is how I do most things. Is I just started the business. I had a native plant nursery where I noticed that there weren't any traditional foods or plants in my region. It's very white centric here. And so I started growing sweetgrass, and then I was like, well, I need to do something with this other than just a braid. And so I started learning about its uses. And then I did my business plan kind of backwards because the business had started. There was people buying things, and I was like, oh, there's a need for it. So I made different kind of products and just exploded from there in the last like 12 years or so. But then I got in touch with First Nations Development Institute, and they have a free planning course, the Tribal Business Planning. And I'd recommend taking it. It was a 3-day course. It was free. You can get a scholarship. And they basically go through different templates of examples like mine, or like the topiary beans, or tonka bar was there. Like each native producer came and showed how they started their business, and they give examples of how they got started. So they provide online templates, missions. It helps you create your mission statement, which is big. Like, you can sell maple syrup, but why? And what do you got to explain where the demand is and why you're doing it, where that native component is of your culture, your heart, and how you want to help feed people. It's that food medicine that we all need. Part of this business planning, they help you with afterwards too, which is really successful, is figuring out like the budget, which is the hardest part for me, is going, and with native foods too, because the USDA doesn't have sweetgrass on there. They don't want to put huckleberries. If you want to talk about elderberries, it's a whole different presentation because they're just saying no to it, the FDA right now. Tribal foods don't exist in the USDA code, so they're trying to create a tribal food code right now. A lot of our people with Intertribal Ag Council and other entities, but it's hard creating a price for something when it doesn't exist. So then you have to create what it costs and what you're going to charge. So you're kind of just like blowing things in the air to see what works. But getting a budget together and a business plan really helps you figure out what it's going to cost for you to go through with your endeavor, and how to get financial assistance too. There's a lot of funding out there. Next slide. So this was our business concept. And I think in one of the questions someone asked is like, how often do you change your business plan? Once you get like the meat and potatoes of it established, you want to kind of keep it that way, but it should always be changing, kind of like tribal people. Everything's in a circle, constantly changing with the seasons. You're going to want to change it because you're growing. And you might not decide to make cupcakes. You might say, I think I want to make maple vinaigrette instead because someone else is making cupcakes, and let them do that. But our business concept is, grow, develop, increase, and open things up. So we want to grow healthy, sustainable, traditional native plants for consumption and medicine. We want to actually develop the market because there isn't one. The market's really slim right now, and there's been an uprising, obviously, of more of our traditional foods entering the market, but we're still trying to develop that market for increased traditional foods for our existing tribal members throughout Turtle Island. We want to increase the awareness and education about the historical food uses that we have. We're not always able to access that elder who might not want to talk about the old days. And a lot of them are passing right now. And so it's really a crucial time for us to get awareness of what's going on in our surroundings, and find out what foods were used and how we can continue to keep those in our systems. And then also just opening up access for all tribal members to receive healthy foods. I struggle a lot with cost. I have a native price that's really low, and then I have a non-native price, and then we have free. So we aren't a nonprofit, so we don't get subsidized to do free tribal food boxes. I just do some GoFundMes, sometimes in Venmo, some social media fundraisers sometimes, just to get a few $100 so we can get those up there. But having kind of, it doesn't have to be a concept of 4 things. You could just have one, but that's kind of where you want to go, is just get your feet on the ground a little bit, feel it out, and become established so that everyone else knows that you're ready to go. Next slide. What to consider. This is a big one, and I'm not going to hurt anyone's feelings here, but time and money. And then we're thinking about our traditional ways, living in those ways, and then living in the now, 2022, where everything's costing more. Gas, food, housing, if there is any. The cost of business is really expensive. We've had, like right now, we don't have any packaging for our teas. They're held up somewhere again, and everyone's going to have to wait till they come in. So just think about what kind of time do you have? Do you have someone to help you? Is there infrastructure? Are you going to start in your kitchen? If so, do you have to get a domestic kitchen license? Do you have to get a commercial kitchen license? Is there a commercial kitchen on the res or off res? There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of money that has to trickle down. I didn't know until it was too late for every step of this with the food practices, where I didn't know I had to get a City of Bend license, a Deschutes County license, a State of Oregon license. Now we're going through FDA. You have to have UPC codes, and the money just starts like disappearing that you don't have. So you have to take out loans or get grants. And that's where you come in with the Intertribal Ag Council. For your region, wherever you are in Turtle Island, there is a technical assistance provider to help you. Mine is Cap Minhorn and Mike Schellenberger. They're in Oregon and Washington. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them holding my hand, taking me to conferences, sitting through export trainings, business planning trainings. The Intertribal Ag Council is pivotal in helping you get your small business started. They can help guide you to funding also. In my case, again, I'm not a nonprofit and I don't live on the reservation. So it's just really difficult for me to get any kind of financial assistance. But a good place to start, if you're on the reservation, is First Nations Development Institute. Tons of money. Also use your internet resources. Talk to Ivy. Talk to your TA from Intertribal Ag Council. If you want to start your business, just ask about it first. Find out what your resources are around you. There's a lot of CARES Act money that's still trickling down as COVID kind of comes to a close so far. So just kind of don't jump in quite yet. Just see, like, do I have time? Do I have money? to have support. Is someone going to get mad if I'm making maple cupcakes the same way as they are? You know, just think about all these things and just move on from there. Use your resources. The tribal people have a ton of support, especially in this tribal food movement right now. Also, Dan Cornelius has been pivotal for helping me. Now we're friends. We talk on the side all the time about things. If I need anything, lots of insight and input and wisdom that we all start to share with each other. And sometimes it's what you want to hear and sometimes it's not. And that's helpful, is to go, oh no, I should slow down a little bit and maybe take this path, you know. So just use your resources. Next slide. Yeah, this is a touchy one. Be creative. So tribal members historically have always been really resourceful. That's obvious. Just what's around you? Do you need to grow something? Do you need to get a greenhouse? Are you wild harvesting? If so, is it allowed? Do you need permission? Is it in an area where your family has or rights already? Like here in Oregon, there's fishing rights that are passed down to families on the Columbia River. Where is the stuff at that you need to make your food products with? Try not to duplicate or make the exact product that someone else is. We don't want competition amongst each other. That's why I said first, we're really resourceful and creative people. There's a lot of things you can do with corn. There's a lot of things you can do with rice. Expanding our food palette and being creative in these times where we need to be more resourceful is really smart. And it helps with the business side too. We saw what happened with Taco Bar. These non-natives, I think it's called Epic Bar now, like everyone takes our ideas anyway. So within our own tribal communities and enterprise, we just need to be smart about it and help each other. And if you have questions about a product you want to make and you don't really want to like upset somebody else that's doing the same thing, you can ask your friends, relatives about what they think about it too, get some input. And also, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We've been eating these foods for hundreds of thousands of years. So we just need to be creative with how we get it out there. Who doesn't have access to it? Is there a way that a food product you've had where you don't like it as much? Maybe you can make the same thing and have it taste different. Maybe instead of sugar, use maple sugar. So the photo on the right is from our tribal food cooking long table that we did, that Chef Riley cooked all this. And up in that corner there's a little hummus that she made, and it's from one of the corns that we smoked, and it turned out really good. And we grew these poblanos and put it in there from tribal seed. So there's a smoked poblano hummus that was made, and that would be a great idea. The next thing up there in the corner is a little green corn cookie that we made with I think it had some more smoked peppers in it, but we're making crackers and cookies and just really opening up our level of creativity and food palette too. Like you can do a lot with a little. So let's start to be more creative. That's what we have. Yazi, Sherman, Elena Terry, Tanya Brandt, Crystal, Justin Pioche. There's a ton of tribal chefs out there that want people to grow more food too. So you don't necessarily have to make a product. You can do what we do also, is we get tribal seed, we return it to where it came from, and then we not only make value-added products with it, but we sell it in bulk to tribal chefs. So then they have more access to hire more tribal people to teach them about tribal foods. And it's just in creating like this tribal commerce of intertribal trade routes, sharing food like we used to. So just kind of think about it and be creative before you start on your venture. Tribal commerce and intertribal trade routes always been around. My dad from Alaska, who was a chief, ended up doing a lot of trading with the head of the Navajo Nation, Craig Benally, a long time ago. And that's how we're connected. My family and the Benally family is from Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, the Four Corners area to Alaska. So there's always been trading. We've historically traded. And we need to continue. I said in my PowerPoint, let's be fierce about it. Let's really open that up and communicate with each other more. And that's how we're going to start learning more about what foods are needed. Neighboring reservations might not have as many elderberries or huckleberries or syrup or sugar. And you might have something that they need: whitefish, salmon skins that you can make into chips. Like, kind of open that, we need to open that commerce and trade route back up. And that's what IEC has done with their mobile food market too, is drive around and expand the opportunities and availability of these tribal foods that are so important to us. Tribal commerce. So you guys might recognize some of these folks in the pictures here. For our business specifically, we lost a lot of business with COVID. Unfortunately, a lot of the casinos had closed down. We did have a lot of accounts, but right now we're at about 40 national accounts. We've got about 10 local stores here in Bend. We distribute food donations through the USDA Commodity Food Center, through Warm Springs and the Wave Foundation. We sell off of our website. Something that's really cool is 90, I'd say more, but 90% of our business is for tribal people, which is really cool. It's working, and that's what I like to see. Our food is grown, the tribal foods that we grow are made mostly for value-added food products, local produce, cooking classes, and tribal chefs. So we've got a lot going on, but there needs to be. There's a lot of places that it needs to go. So think about that as you develop your business plan, like who needs it? Like the AICHO Indigenous First store. It's so awesome to go in there and see not only my things, but see everybody else's, because when I go in there, I can buy other things I don't have access to here in Oregon. It's like basically the whole store. And then I can buy art, jewelry, regalia, clothing for gifts, blankets. It's just really nice to have these tribal stores popping up all over the place. So there's more photos that look familiar to you here. Who do you know? Where do you want to sell it at? Is it going to be intertribal, or is it non-native, I call it? Is it to everybody, or is it just tribal? And who can you hire locally? I know that attending these conferences are really important once COVID kind of opens, lets us join these moments where being able to see Linda Black Elk and talk about a syrup that we're both working on and how to fix it, or Elena Terry, we're developing a sweetgrass vinaigrette right now with Rosebud Bear. Like intertribal commerce, trade, communication, the more we see each other, the more we can learn what we need and help each other too. So that's part of tribal commerce, is kind of these two photos. Like we all know grandmother that's sitting in there selling her jewelry that her and her family makes. We all know most of the people in the picture below. Reach out and see what people need, and they'll all help you because they're somehow part of the process of making these food products anyway. Marketing, this one's a tough one because it's just me. I run the whole business basically by myself. We do have some employees now that are doing specific tasks like packaging, farming, labor. We have someone doing bookkeeping now, kind of like it takes a lot to kind of have the funds to hire somebody, but I recommend it. We're just not there yet. But I do all the marketing. So again, it's about communicating with our friends. This is Ben from Takabi. We've worked together for years teaching in different places. He just went to IEC and used my smoked cedar salt in the luncheon that we had. And then we got to spend time afterwards talking about things and trading more food. I'm sending him more salt this week. He's sending me some of his elk rub. But for marketing, he just got us in Bon Appetit. If you have an opportunity to be in a big public eye, grab somebody else and have them join you. That's part of how intertribal commerce works and just our community. I use social media, Instagram's pretty awesome. Facebook still kind of works. You want to think about who the exposure is going to and why. Like, is it just going to be native? Is it just for the Duluth area? Is it for the whole Midwest? Is it for intertribal areas, intertribal reservations? Tribal versus non-tribal again, like the Coachella, Burning Man folks, they're all about saging and culturally appropriating all of the things that we do, but they'll pay for it. They'll pay double. Feels like we're crossing the line there, but decide who you want to have the food. That's why we sell 90% of our market as native, because I'm kind of like, no, you can't have it. Tribal people get to be fed first. Advertising, I try not to pay for any advertising because it's showing me that it's working so far. We're really busy all the time. Again, social media is free, so try and use that first. Use your iPhone, use your phone or whatever you have close to you, borrow someone's camera, download pictures, get insight from people and what they think about it. It might be too cheesy and too old looking, and it's just not going to appeal to people of what they want to see. There's we have our elders that I don't think care quite much about social media and marketing. They just want the food. And then we've got the young crew coming up that's all, everything's TikTok, Snapchat. Those are great mediums for getting our stuff out too. So use what you have because things are always changing too. So I liked to put this picture of Stephen Paul Judd up here because he's doing some really cool artwork. So think about hiring like Tasha Hart, like she does amazing artwork and put this cookbook together. Who's your audience? So again, if it's a young person, like maybe consider hiring somebody to do this cool tribal artwork for you for not only your website, maybe your t-shirts or hats, your PR marketing stuff, but for your logo or your branding. And then you're supporting another tribal artist, and it's kind of this win-win. And then it helps them rise up. You're rising up. Let's see, self-distribution. These are some of the questions I saw that you guys had put in there. Self-distribution versus non-native distribution. So something that Dan Cornelius and I were on a call about a while ago was we need more tribal distributors. And I think we're getting there. We're working on it. It might take some time, but there are really cool places like Sweetgrass Trading Company. AICHO helps out a lot. The more website presence and stores that there are, the easier it is to get some of your stuff distributed. But right now we just do it all ourselves. We drive things to 10 stores and check on them every month. Mail order, big shipments, like you're just going to have to start on your own and get established until I think this tribal distribution program kind of gets created. What are you charging versus who can afford it? That's a big one. I really struggle with giving out or charging for anything we make because it's all medicine. It's all food and medicine. So it's ethical. You're going to have to think about how you've always cooked for someone and now you have to charge. But I'm hoping they can understand that you're creating a tribal enterprise that helps yourself and others come up in the community. And so that's part of sometimes paying or trading. You could do some trading too. There's this old concept that's coming up again of mutual aid, where a lot of us natives now are charging non-natives more, and it allows us to give the supplement of free food to natives. So it's just kind of like weighing out the old ways and the new ways, and then finding a way for us to get other people, like more colonial folks, to pay for us to do our work for free. So it's sneaky, it's tricky, but it's working. USDA, there's lots of funding out there available for any kind of business development or technical assistance. That might help determine what your market is. I know with COVID, there's been so much money coming in from the government. It's really helped a lot of the tribal producers get us over that financial hump where we can afford to hire another person or take a big loan out for a commercial kitchen, because it just helps having this funding. And right now, if there's a way you can get some of this extra CARES Act or COVID funding, USDA has some, Dan Cornelius knows more about it, but there's some other funding coming down the pipe where they're paying tribal producers for producing food. We need to get on that. So think about how you want to start your business based off of kind of the funds that are available right now. You might not have to charge people a lot of money. You could just give it away because someone else is paying you to do that. I'm just 10 years late on that, and I'm just figuring it out now. So I'm getting there. Danny brought up a good one. Canva is awesome. I'm finally able to afford to buy it. I just purchased it, but I've always done things on PowerPoint. But this is something we made on Canva for one of our hot sauce ads. It took like 10 minutes to create. It was really fun. It's easy, it's user friendly. So I consider getting Canva, but you can make a lot of your labels like we have. The one in this picture is made on PowerPoint. You just throw your logo in there, do all your required labeling, which is a whole nother PowerPoint presentation we could do. We use a lot of Avery labels. We have an inkjet printer, and we spend so much money on ink and printers also and labels, and we're still not able to get financially to that point where we can buy everything on a roll because it's really expensive. It could be $1,000 for a roll of 500 labels if they're all color. So just that's part of your business plan, is do a lot of research and figure out, and it's okay to use PowerPoint, Avery labels, stickers to get started, because I did. It's all going to take time anyway. But get started with things real simple, and then you can progress into rolls, which saves a lot of money. So these are, like I said, pre-post and pros and cons. If you can see here, these are the old hot sauce labels that we had. These are like, I can't see it, Avery labels. It looked cool at the time, but legally to get in a grocery store, we just got into Market of Choice. It's kind of like Whole Foods. You have to grow up and be a big girl and get your UPC codes, all this nutritional value testing, which is costly, FDA approval, which is time consuming, that our local Department of Agriculture health inspector, it took like 6-8 months to get this label made so we could get a product on the shelf. So remember, things take time, but this is we just got rebranded again. So I think the hot sauce labels look awesome. Our tea labels are getting better. Again, we still like to get to the point where we could just print everything on the package, but it's really costly and we're just not there yet. But again, just start where you're at. If you want to slap a sticker on a clear package with your product in it so people can see what's in it, go for it. You got to get started somehow and somewhere too. Font. It's all about the fonts. If you talk to any graphic designer, it's all about the font. So we've stuck with the same font for the last 10 years. We try not to change things up too much so it doesn't look too busy. But branding, and when you rebrand, you have to remember that everything you had in stock, you have to blow through it first. You kind of have to rotate it. So just remember, you'll get all excited and spend a lot of money to get rebranded, but you'll still have all this old stock like we do of this just sitting here in cases now that we'll almost just give away for free because we're like ready to just be fresh and clean looking. So there's pros and cons to label design, because remember that it costs something. So that's where you're going to want to hire a graphic designer that's tribal if you can. If not, just get started on your own. Oh, it looks like I wrapped it up. I wanted to leave some time for questions though too, but this is my contact information. You can always go on our website and snoop around for how we price things. There's wholesale lists that we have separate. And this is one of my favorite pictures from this year. COVID got really crazy again, and we had a lot of loss of people and family members. But I was able to sneak up one day between the wildfire smoke and COVID restrictions up to the Warm Springs Commodity Food Center and deliver a pallet of tribal food boxes and these huge Columbia River salmon slabs for free. So we gave them 500 pounds of free salmon. Everyone got sweetgrass braid in their tribal food box, and then the box was loaded with fresh vegetables and our value-added products. So really, that felt great to be able to walk into the Commodity Food Center that's full of cans of food that are full of sodium, and be able to give them, everyone, just like 100% tribal food. And that's just what it's all about for me. And I'm glad it was free because none of us have money anyway. So that's kind of my quick version of tribal enterprise. Again, we could spend a lot more time on this. If you guys have questions, let me know. And let's see what's in the question box.
Miigwech, Spring, Alaska. That was awesome. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves and offer a question directly to Spring, or you can put them in the chat and I can read them out loud. And I have tons of questions, so no worries either way. All right, first
We're
one
gonna
from
do it. we're gonna do a time check too. We have about 12 minutes, so be mindful
no
of the
story.
time.
Thank you, Ivy, for that. Yeah, we could definitely go all day, I'm sure. First question from Jessica Green Deer. Spring, how long before you started up Sakari Midwest?
Before I'm going to, or what does that mean?
Or
Yeah,
maybe
before you're going to Spring, we would love to have you here in the Midwest.
I just need to come visit. I don't know how to lead, like the farm's getting so much busier with the commercial kitchen going up. I have no idea. I still am trying to just get a good nap in, you know. It's my favorite new pastime. But I just need to come visit everyone. I think with COVID lifting, I'd love to come, Jessica, and hang out with you. And yes, I'll take Packer tickets to come and sit with you on the farm and help the people that you're working with too, and bring everyone together. I think we all miss that. And I have questions about seed for Jessica, and there's some melons I'm looking for and Hollis pumpkin seed. And I think we all just need to get together. So I'm hoping to come visit soon. It's up to Ivy actually, so she can plan another cool conference.
awesome. The next one is from Ash. For your value-added products, what percentage of your ingredients are from you growing on the farm versus buying them in?
I would say I'd like to be 100, but because we've had a lot of climate change issues, elderberry, blueberry, raspberry, not doing well. I have to supplement those. So I'll just be honest. I did cheat this year and I bought jasmine. We cannot grow that here. It was 1 degree yesterday because I just wanted to taste jasmine. It's like I was trying to be non-tradish for a sec. And I feel like I'm going to get in trouble, but I do buy jasmine. So not that much. We grow everything. And the thing is if we're out and we can't grow it because the wildfire smoke, climate change, heat dome, if something happens, we just don't, everyone knows like we're out and you have to wait till it's ready again. You have to wait until next fall. Like with our smoked peppers that we put in little jars, our smoked pepper, poblano stuff, when it's gone, it's gone. Like as soon as we dry it, smoke it, grind it, and then put it in that jar, it's gone in like a month. And everyone's like, can we order, you know, like AICHO store was just like, can we order more smoked poblano salt? I'm like, September. And they're like, ugh. So we grow as much as we can. And I will be honest, if we have to cheat with something, we did some trading for some elderberries and huckleberries this year. So they were in native hands, but I do cheat sometimes because we're trying to keep those foods in our systems, but I try and keep them native except for the jasmine. So.
Right on. No, we appreciate all the transparency and authenticity. Our next question is, what's the most important thing to know or do when starting a business? And that comes from Emily Annette.
I think it's like, just see if you have time. Like now I'm so busy, there's no social life or self-care, but I'm doing all this good work and that's more important to me, I think, than my health. And I think I have entrepreneur brain on, which I was told by an elder the other day to slow down. But there's so much happening. Dan Cornelius knows this too, and Jessica Green Deer. Like, it's taking off. The Indigenous food movement. It's like, we're back. Look out. We're coming in hot. And so when you're part of that movement, you're bringing other tribal people in to work for you, and they're farmers too. One has a bison farm here. The other raises turkeys and goats. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, I got to slow it down. Like, I think the most important thing is see what kind of time you have and resources. And the cool thing is there's a ton of money around. There's a lot of resources. And this is an environment, this tribal food sovereignty movement, where everyone's like, how can we help you? What do you need? We're here. So unlike a lot of other things. So it's just this, I'd say the most valuable thing is to use your resources and make sure you have time.
Miigwech Spring, I noticed a comment in the chat. We need an Indigenous Shark Tank or just First Nation to have a group where we can brainstorm our ideas. I know there was a powwow pitch competition that grew out of Canada, but do you know of any other kind of Indigenous business competitions, or maybe that's not the intention there. Maybe
I
there's a
don't-
collective.
I don't know. I know Elena Terry, we were talking about for IEC conference, maybe, or one of the conferences coming up, that we could do something fun, like virtual little, like make little skits and movies and have fun with it. But I don't know how well that'd go over, because we all talk too long and tell way too many stories. So, I mean, if you ask someone for 2 minutes, it's going to be 15. So I don't know how well that would go. It'd have to be really visual.
Yeah, and maybe that's something
Yeah,
that gets tested out at a
Think of
conference.
something.
I
I
have
think too, just to add on to that, is that at AICHO, we have created an email listserv collective of Indigenous, BIPOC, mostly Indigenous food producers, harvesters. And so, but that isn't like an exchange kind of a thing. It's me sending out funding opportunities and events, upcoming markets and things like that. So, but I just wanted you all to know about it. It's called our Zaga Iganing Food Producers Collective. And so if you're interested in that, just let me know. I will be sending out this recording and the survey link to everyone after this session. And if you are interested in being on that email listserv, I can add you. So just wanted to throw that out.
HIV. Yeah, it's a great list and it is consistent. So thank you for keeping us connected to resources. I had a direct message question. How do you communicate mutual aid to your customers? I've been wanting to do this and would love to hear how you began doing this and what you told your customers. Awesome question.
I don't really like talk about it that much. You mean like, how do I actually like make it go down?
Maybe whatever the process looks like for you.
Oh, you're on
Spring.
mute, Danny.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, just whatever the process looks like for you, Spring, and then internally how you work it, maybe within the business.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of trickery because I'm just getting non-native funds, colonial funds. I'll just charge more for things, or I'll take, like today I'm getting paid to speak. I'll just take that money aside and it'll just go towards, even though that's not mutual aid because it's native to native, but I have some white speaking events coming up I'm not super excited about, but I'm getting paid well. So I just take that and kind of donate it back in a little kitty, a little black envelope that just says Tribal Food Bank. And I just kind of move it that way. And I don't really talk about it that much because I don't want anyone over here to feel bad, or maybe I do. And then when it's going to our native people, I don't bring it up because they don't need to know. Or maybe they do like to hear that I've had a white person pay for this. It's very political right now, but we have a lot of people who are like, yeah, and some are like, eh. So I don't really, it's new to me, it's working, and I want to do it more this year because I don't want to ever have to charge any tribal member for food, especially right now when we're food insecure. There's been so much death up in Warm Springs. It's still happening daily. There's a lot of ceremonies going on. There's a lot of chaos within families, and there's no money in food. The last thing anyone needs to be is like, it's $49 for a travel food. And we don't even charge for those anyway. So I'm just keeping it real chill across the line. Like, hey, if you got some extra money, because I know you do over there, let me have it and use it resourcefully. I do know sometimes when non-natives try and donate money to a tribal nonprofit, sometimes it does not make it right on the ground in their plate or in their car. So I'm trying to let me have it. I'm going up there next week and go back to the grocery store, fill up a box and take it up there. So I don't have a good answer to that, except just pure colonial trickery right now. So
it's also, and you have a variety of products, right? That where you can, have a revenue source that comes in that's consistent with, the botanicals that can afford the food for the people. That's really beautiful, Spring. I love it.
Yeah.
We have 2 minutes left. So if there's any remaining questions, I'll even throw it back at Ivy too, as you've been listening, if there's anything. One big thing for me, I guess, was seeing your business concept and how it was laid out. I just wanted to know if that relates immediately back to your mission statement, if it's the same thing or if it's interchangeable. I just liked how you visually kind of had it organized there.
I think it's all related. I haven't changed that business structure since I created it years ago, because all those things on there need to get done. Like they're not happening quick enough in my region, probably all throughout Turtle Island. Like until we start becoming more sovereign, sustainable, and independent, just on a holistic level, like for our culture, that's not going to change. We have a lot of work to do. I'm only going to live till I'm 100 anyway, hopefully. So I've got, a few more decades to get this going. I'm grabbing as many tribal youth as I can to train them. And we're all just part of this movement. More chefs. We need more Sam Anglins and Elena Terrys and all of our, Black Indigenous folks, our BIPOC, our LGBTQ. Like we need to bring everyone in and keep moving. But that doesn't change. The mission statement can change a little bit. Which it doesn't for me. I haven't had time to, because it's working. I mean, we're just trying to feed everyone in a safe manner that's healthy for everyone, where there's no competition. There's no lateral racism during this process. Everyone's getting along. No one's better than anyone. No, there's no best native here, because that's very harmful. Just leading by example, leaving things how they are. And if you need to change something in your business plan, you have to anyway, because you got more money or you need more money. So
awesome. Miigwech Spring. We are at 1 p.m. I'll turn it over to Ivy. I just want to say Miigwech. Thank you everybody for being here and sharing time, and especially to Spring. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Oh my gosh, we just love you, Spring, so much. Thank you for your wisdom and your knowledge and your products and all of that. And Miigwech to Danny, our moderator, and to Cayman and Avery for representing Indigenous First. I just wanted to, I have the Indigenous trade routes and trade in my head. And the thing I forgot to mention is that tobacco that I prayed with today, that I made that offering with, it was a trade that happened last spring with Candy and Neeb Abed from East Lake Community. They gave me their seedlings of Aztec tobacco, and I traded them my heirloom tomato seedlings. And so it was a pretty cool trade there, that, they got tomatoes and I got tobacco. So in the end, so it was pretty cool. So that is a powerful and ancestral thing to do. And I'm glad that you promote that as well. And so again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And I will be in touch, like I said, with an email after this session with the link to this recording and the survey link, and please fill that out so we can give Spring some feedback. And yeah, so I guess that ends our session. We just went over like 2 minutes. So Miigwech, Bizendalieg.
Yeah, thank you everyone. It was good to see everyone's face today. I miss everyone a lot. Can't wait to visit.
Yeah, can't wait to have you visit again.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Have a good day.
Take care, everyone. Be well.
Miigwech.
Yeah, Sam. I'm proud of your work. You're doing good out there.
You too. Take care. Love you, Spring.
Yeah, I love you too, man. See you.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so good to see everyone. I think it's good. I know Sam misses everyone too, because he's in California. So I think he was supposed to come out and cook for my wedding a few years ago, and then COVID happened. For like 180 people, and then we just never got married. I got the courthouse paper, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
So yeah, I miss everyone. So thanks for good vibes today and let me talk a little bit, and hopefully there'll be some more interest in this. There should be.
It was amazing. Like everything that you spoke on was just like, oh, I'm sure everybody, including me, took away a ton of information that's going to be helpful to them. So yeah, miigwech.
Yeah, and I don't know if the kids are on there still from the store, but your order is a little late because there's no tea packaging. So